Hello and welcome back, everyone. Today I'm happy to be able to do a test on both flails, the fine cut and the fast cut, and the tough cut deck that you see behind me. I wanted to do some testing on this just to show each one, the results of it, the cut quality, that kind of stuff, to sort of give a side-by-side comparison to show anybody looking at these what might be the best attachment for you. So to get started, we got the HQ 680 Tough Cut. This is my personal deck. I've been using this for years now. 68-inch cutting width on this. It does have the front caster wheels on it. Underneath this deck you have 3 blades. They're solid blades. 2 spin in one direction and then 1 blade spins in the other, and it just helps move material. This deck here is great if you're trying to cut down small saplings, really rough conditions. Lots of videos on YouTube showing the Tough Cut deck. Amazing attachment. This thing exceeds what they say it'll do. A lot of people have proven that. But if you're cutting real thick, heavy material and brushy, this is your go-to deck. Now to my right, I have the M&W 720. This is the fine cut flail. They make these flails in 2 different widths, 56 and 72. The ones I have today are going to be the 72-inch width. The fine cut flail is more for if you're mowing stuff on a regular basis, like the field I have behind me. I usually keep this cut down. I've been letting it grow because I wanted to do this test. That's why it's gotten overgrown a little bit. This works great. I've done a video in the past where I cut my lawn with it, and it actually did a really good job. So fine cut flail, rotor speed of 3,000 RPM, and this has a scoop type blade on this, and there's 36 of them. And like I said, this gives you a better finish cut appearance with this flail here. Now to my left we have the MY 720. This is 72-inch also. The rotor speed on this is 3,000 RPM, just like the fine cut. The only difference is the fast cut flail has Y style knives, and there's 72 of them underneath there. So the fast cut flail is more for like brushy, stemmy material. If you had like briars or overgrown with, you know, not thick trees, but it's better for that kind of material than the fine cut. Now doing this test, I measured my tough cut deck, and I actually got down with a tape measure, and it's set at 3 3/4 inches. So I went ahead and took the fine cut flail and I measured this out, and I got it set at a depth of 3 3/4 inches for that. Now the fast cut flail, I measured it, it's between 3.5 and 4, because the bottoms of the knives are just over 3.5 and the top of the knives are at 4. So the knives were a little harder to measure on that, but for all in all, the comparison is going to be the same height and everything for these. And we're going to do a few different tests. I got some different zones set up, some different thicknesses. We're going to do a couple passes with each, and I'm going to try to put it in low range, and I'm going to go 3 miles an hour. And I'm not trying to do a speed test with any of these. I just want to show you guys side by side cut quality and what it looks like. At the end I might be able to do some speed tests, but I had a comment when I did the video on the fine cut flail. Someone wanted me to slow down, put it in low range, so that's what we're going to do. Low range, 3 miles an hour with each one. We're going to do some test passes in each zone, and then we'll go ahead and look at the results. So real excited to see how this turns out and which one looks the best. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, I did want to say before I get started, I am going to switch between attachments with tractors. I'm not going to use the same tractor for each test because I'm not doing really a power test. I'm just trying to do a results test. So since I'm going the same speed, engine power isn't going to be an issue. More than likely, the fine cut flail is going to stay on this, and I'll just switch between the diesel for the tough cut and the fast cut. All right, we got them lined up here side by side. I got the fast cut followed by the fine cut, and then I'll swing over and get the tough cut. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a pass down and back with each, just to sort of give us an idea of what it looks like in the cut quality. Keep in mind, with these flails I have them set a little higher to be equivalent to the tough cut deck, but results always vary depending on the cutting height. So maybe at the end I'll lower them a little bit and try it, but I just wanted you guys to keep that in mind. So All right, I wanted to give you an overview of the zones and the different cutting techniques we're going to be doing today. I got 4 zones. Zone 1 has not been cut at all this year. This is pretty thick and tall growth, upwards of 3 foot in some areas. Zone 2 was cut right around the beginning of May, so we got 2 months of growth in Zone 2. Zone 3 was cut right before the beginning of June, so there's 1 month of growth in Zone 3. And there's Zone 4, which you don't see on this map, but this is my neighbor's back lawn, and this is more of like a pasture grass. They mow this every few weeks, so that'll be the closest to pasture grass. That'll be Zone 4. All right, so here's Zone 1. This is the thickest stuff. This has not been cut at all this whole year, so this is the first cut of the season. A lot of the stuff in here is a lot of buckhorn, a lot of these field grasses. This stuff's extremely hard to cut. It's a really tough weed or grass. It gets wrapped around things, and usually it doesn't cut clean off. It likes to stick up, so this will be a pretty good test. Not as much clover in here, but some of these weeds are, I would say, up to 3 foot tall, maybe taller in some spots back there, maybe pushing 4. But between 2 and 3 foot and pretty thick. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, here we are, Zone 2. Zone 2 is a little bit taller. This was mowed right around in May, right after the 1st of May. So a lot of dense, thick weeds in here. A lot of buckhorn and clover and field grasses. So this is probably a couple foot tall weeds. We'll go ahead and do a few passes in here and see the results. All right, here's zone 4. This is as close to what you'd have as pasture grass. Anyone mowing horse pastures or anything like this. My neighbor was generous enough to let us use this as for Ventrac testing ground. Thanks, Chris. Chris is a subscriber to the channel, which brings up a good point. Any of you guys that aren't, you should go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss content like this. But anyway, this is just real short grassy material. We're going to hit it with each one and then see the results. All right, so the results are in. We're gonna start off zone 1 because this was the tallest, thickest stuff. Right here on this side, this was the fast cut flail. These two lines here was the fine cut. And over here, all the way to the right, was the tough cut. You can see the tough cut leaves a lot of material in the center. All in all, it did a pretty good job of getting all the material cut, only a few scragglers here and there. Fine cut did a really nice job, clean cut. Chopped this stuff up really nice and fine. The fast cut did leave some stragglers behind and stuff, and like I said, this stuff's pretty hard to cut anyway, but fast cut did pretty good too. The results are really good. It chopped it up, left a little more material evenly spread as the tough cut would, but as you can see, both the fine cut and the fast cut leave better stripes, so the quality of cut when it's done is a lot better, and that's because both the flail mowers have full-length rollers that they roll on, where the tough cut is suspended by the tractor. Now, for fun, after each pass, I didn't videotape this. I went down through and I lowered both the fine and fast cut flail, and I lowered them down pretty good, probably to a couple inches, and I hit each one of these areas just to give you guys a fair comparison if you had a flail mower and you wanted to cut at a lower height, since I had them to go ahead and show you. All right, so I lowered them both down. This is the results of the fast cut over here on the left, and the results of the fine cut over here on the right. The fine cut did a much better job chopping the stuff up into a finer material. That's probably why they call it a fine cut. But I will note, I did mow with the fast cut in this real tall, thick zone 1 at 3 miles an hour, but I could not maintain 3 miles an hour with the fine cut. even with the 45-20N, I had to back it down to around 2 miles an hour. So 2.2 is as fast as I could go. It was really struggling the tractor a little bit more. I'm trying to chop that much material with the fine cut, but all in all, it did a wonderful job. Once you slow down a little bit, power wasn't an issue. All right, so here's zone 2. This was the medium weeds. They're a little taller. Fast cut here on the left, fine cut in the middle, tough cut on the right. So the tough cut definitely left more material behind in the center. Fine cut there again, I think it performed the best with chopping it up, but the fast cut didn't do bad itself either. It just left the clippings more distributed than you would have with the tough cut. Now there again, the stripes, they're amazing with the flails. They do a really good cut quality with leaving stripes behind. If we go over here, zone 2, where I knocked them down to a couple inches, that fine cut worked really well on that. Fast cut didn't do bad either, but it left more material behind. But just to give you an idea. And on zone 2, I could maintain 3 miles per hour while doing this test. Zone 1, I told you I couldn't, but zone 2, I had no problem cutting this at this height at 3 miles per hour. All right, here we got zone 3. This stuff was cut just over a month ago, or about a month ago. This was the shortest stuff of all the material. Fast cut, fine cut, and then the tough cut. So tough cut did fairly well, I can't complain. On this material, it's strange on the shorter stuff. It almost looks like the fast cut did a little better job on this than the fine, and I'm not sure why. The fine left a little more stuff behind. I think the fast cut almost did a little better on this, which is strange because the fine cut did better on the other one. So there's the results of that on zone 3. There again, flails, beautiful stripes. Over here, where I knocked them down to low, you got the fast cut and the fine cut. Now here, when I mowed lower, the fine cut did better. As you can see how low I was actually getting there. Like I said, I had these set at a couple inches, so you can mow a lot lower with the flails than you can the tough cut, and it does leave pretty nice results. So it's always an option. Here as well, I can mow 3 miles per hour. Had no issues at all mowing that low with the fine cut. All right, zone 4, this would be pasture grass. Fast cut, fine cut, tough cut. Tough cut looks good. It left material, some little clumps here and there in the center. The fine cut really left a lot of material scattered out, and the fast cut seemed to dissipate the material around better to where you don't notice it as much. So on pasture grass, I'd say the fast cut has a better cut quality than the fine, a little bit, for leaving material left behind. They both have a good cut quality, but for looks when you're done, the fast cut, in my opinion, did better on this. So there again, both the flail mowers, really beautiful stripes when you're done. Fast cut I'm going to go with on that one for a win. We'll go over here. This is where I lowered the 2 down over here, and we'll have the fast cut on the left. They both left lots and lots of material behind. You can see here, I mean, it definitely did. On this test at a lower, they both left equal amounts of material. The fine cut, I will say, left it more even. It's not as even with the fast, but I did want to note here too, even though this stuff wasn't as tall, being a thicker grass, I could not maintain 3 miles per hour cutting this low, even with the 45-20N. This, just like zone 1, I had to slow down to about 2 miles per hour. So All the other ones I can maintain decent speed, but zone 1 and this one zone 4, 2 mile per hour was as fast as I could cut with the fine cut flail at that height. So all right, so there it is. Fine cut, fast cut, tough cut, all compared side by side. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped some of you guys decide which one works best for you. Which one's your favorite and why? Please put it in the comments below. I'm still gonna have to go with the tough cut. That's still my favorite, and the only reason is there's nothing like mowing down saplings and small trees and going into brush and just listening to this thing annihilate anything in its path. So it's more of a universal. You can use it for everything, especially if you're going to be doing more harsh environments. As for the flails do a beautiful job. The fine cut is perfect if you want to mow this on a regular basis and you want it to look really nice. It's going to stripe nice. It does a beautiful job of cutting. You can even use it on your lawn and cut your grass with it. I do like the fast cut because if you do have taller stuff like what's behind me or briars, that's going to be your better choice for that, just because it's going to take a little less power than the fine cut did. But there again, the fast cut leaves a beautiful finish when it's all said and done. As of for maintenance, the flails do require a little more maintenance than, you know, say a tough cut, because it's easier to sharpen 3 blades. The blades are reversible. If you hit something with this tough cut, it's going to be a little more forgiving than if you were using a flail. So if you're going to be doing a lot of harsh environments, I'd probably still steer towards the tough cut. But I love the flails. I'm glad they came out with them. They're both great units. I did want to point out that when I was doing this testing, the tractors were at full throttle, full operating, 3600 RPM, so I wasn't lugging each one of them. One of these results to be as fair as I possibly could. If you guys like these videos, go ahead and subscribe. Put comments below any other videos you guys would like to see. As always, thanks for watching.